You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
Just a heads up, this episode is brought to you by the Script Summit Screenplay Contest, where you can win a cash prize or even a contract with a Hollywood talent manager. All you have to do is visit scriptsummit.com for more info. All right, welcome to the Successful Screenwriter Podcast. On this episode, I am joined by a guest host as we analyze and break down a film to discover what works and what doesn't. All right, welcome to the podcast. I am joined by story consultant at WeFixYourScript.com and producer Kristy Lussier. Thanks for being with us.
I'm always happy to be here.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Amazon original, The Wheel of Time. It's a show they spent a ton of cash on to get their rights to and produce. It's got an awesome cast in it as well. And I know you're actually kind of somebody who's in the community a little bit, maybe,
yeah,
sort of.
Just a little, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to hit you with the log line of episode 1 because that's what we're looking at today. And so episode 1 is called Leavetaking, which is different because usually they call it pilot, but they titled this one. A strange noblewoman arrives in a remote mountain village, claiming one of 5 youths is the reincarnation of an ancient power who once destroyed the world and will do so again if she's not able to discover which of them it is, but they all have less time than they think. All right, let me catch my breath from that log line.
Yep.
And in the meantime, you can give me first thoughts on what you think about this.
First thoughts on the episode or background on the books?
Oh my God. Okay, you're walking me into that. So I want to go first thoughts on the episode, but I feel you want to talk first thoughts on the books. So go ahead and give me first thoughts on the books.
Well, I just want to give a little context so that everybody who kind of can get a sense. I have been in the Wheel of Time fandom for a number of years, at least over 15 years. I have been reading the books since 1999. So that's about 22 years that I've been reading the series. And so I do have a little bit of what they call Wheel of Time fandom fame, I guess. I'm not sure. That's kind of my history and the background with the Wheel of Time series in terms of the books.
All right.
So now moving into the show and episode 1. First thoughts. From a fan perspective, with my fan brain, it's always wonderful to see these characters come to life on the big screen that you've been dreaming of and thinking of for years. And there were just a number of aspects that were really, really wonderful to see kind of put on the big screen. The biggest one being for me is Rosamund Pike playing that main character, Moiraine. That was just she's such a huge presence in the series.
She's an incredible actor. And
she's such a great actress. And so that was kind of a big, best thing for me to see kind of coming to life in this first episode. It's an interesting pilot because yes, we are introduced to the main 5 plus Moiraine who comes into town looking for them. Right. So we get a sense of who these characters are essentially in terms of these are the people we're going to be following and taking through this journey. And so that's kind of the really interesting aspect of the first episode is that a lot of character introduction.
Yeah.
Which I didn't anticipate they were going to try to do so heavily right away. But they did. And
are the characters how you pictured them in your mind's eye? I mean, did they cast appropriately? Did the actors embody the characters that you come to know?
That I've come to know. Yeah. I mean, there's what's been very interesting about this is that the decisions in terms of casting and the way that they did diversity representation in a lot of the actors and the casting choices, that was bothersome for some of the fandom who already had a sense that pretty much everybody in the world was Caucasian. Really diving in, Jordan was very, very specific to be, pretty keen on mentioning different skin tones and different kind of cultural elements in physical form, that you can tell these people are from different areas of the world.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool to see them kind of do that diversity with the casting. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Maureen Rosamund Pike did fantastic.
Yeah.
One of my favorite standouts in the episode, who actually is not really one of my favorites in the series. Oh my God, the fandom's going to kill me for this. Is Barney Harris playing Matt Cawthon. And
he was the thief, right?
He was the thief. And for me, I was just blown away at him bringing Matt to the screen the way he did. I couldn't believe how well he did just doing that and kind of putting that character to life for me. So that was one of my favorites in the casting choices so far.
I think representation is important, and it's okay to
absolutely
change the role of someone written in a book in order to make that happen. You know, the actor will bring out what's important about the role, and that's what's most important. And I think, you know, seeing that with the character of Matt being that kind of grifter, thief, and to still bring in that kind of Han Solo like charm, I thought was fantastic, because that is easy to read a character as sleazy.
Sure.
And he didn't, you know, you could feel it with his sisters. You could feel it with how much he cared about his family. He just didn't have his stuff together. Yeah. All of that being said, this was a slow episode.
Yeah. I mean, pacing wise, certainly felt slow, but it felt rushed. If that even makes sense.
Well, unpack that for me.
Yeah. So I think there's kind of this element where there was the sense of rush to really kind of get the action going outside of their village, right. Yeah, which is where a lot of the big stuff happens.
Yeah.
And so there's a rush to do that. And then you miss an opportunity to have those moments to really build on character development so that the audience attaches and understands why this character is significant and why we should be rooting for them, where they're coming from, what the consequences are, what the stakes are. There was some missed opportunity, because I feel like there was a sense that we really need to get out into the world and take these characters on their journey already.
Right.
But in a way, there was a lot of drag in a lot of the other parts.
A lot of drag underwater.
Yeah.
Got to see the pilot. All right. So yeah, one of the characters is dragged underwater. And it the way they frame her throughout this episode, you think she's the reincarnate. I haven't read the books, but you think she's the reincarnated dragon that they're looking for. Right. The way that they frame her, at least visually. Is she? I don't know. I haven't read the books. So I wonder if they're going to change that per episode. Like if the next episode stars a different character as a central character, if they're going to frame him like it would be. Narratively, that's where my mind wants to go. So I'm hoping that's what they do. Otherwise, they kind of give it away early. Mm-hmm. I did like how they built the relationships as far as world building goes. Like, you had the one guy who was the armorer and he loved his wife, you know, and that was a lot of the theme was family. Family was a strong theme in this episode.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I really enjoyed that. That's something you can really play around with. And so, you know, spoilers, when he accidentally kills his wife in the midst of battle because they're fighting these giant trolls, and he thinks there's another one there, and he turns and he cuts and he realizes he just sliced his wife. I mean, it's devastating
for sure.
But as a storyteller, I was like, this is exciting, because you can go so many places with a broken character like that.
Absolutely.
To set that up in a pilot is awesome. At the same time, it's like, oh, so brutal. But in television, we don't want happy characters who are happily married and hanging out and in love, because that's boring.
There's no journey for us to go on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? This guy needs to have a tragedy happen, because he was living his best life. So let's knock him down. So I thought that was good. The magic I thought was interesting. It was very elemental. Wasn't what I expected. Using the environment and things like that. I thought the creatures themselves looked pretty cool. These Trollocs or whatever they call them.
Trollocs, yeah.
Trollocs, yeah. I thought that was cool. The building up of these no-eyed characters I thought was fascinating. from a costuming design, the way they hooded them was just where if you look at him, you go, does that dude not have eyes? I don't think that dude has eyes. So it wasn't obvious. It was enough to keep your mind interested. So I really did like that.
Yeah. He's those are called fades or murderall in the series, and they're horrifying. The way that they're written, you can only imagine. So then that was again another cool thing to see come to the screen that was like right out of the nightmares of what we've always imagined.
Oh, good.
That kind of evil character to be. And the magic system is really interesting because that has definitely seems to be a big talk with a lot of the fandom, but then a lot of people who are kind of doing reviews and talking about the show. And that, again, there may have been a little more opportunity at some points to really explain or give more context to the way that they use their magic per se, which is called channeling the one power. And it really essentially is channeling all elements and aspects of earth and wind and fire and water. And I mean, down to the cellular level, really, honestly, that they can manipulate and change in that way. And that we kind of miss that. So then when we see her at the end amidst the battle and she's kind of doing the big channeling aspects, it may seem to somebody who isn't as familiar kind of weird that like she's pulling these rocks out of the building. Like,
she's just tossing bricks, man.
She's just tossing bricks. What's going on? Yeah. But essentially that's kind of the aspect of how their magic system essentially works.
Yeah. I'm assuming they're going to tease that out a bit more, and then they'll have like an even more of a reveal and explanation later to go on. In this show's defense, it takes 3 episodes. Psychologically, it takes 3 episodes to get hooked to a show. I mean, they've done the studies. So if you power through 2 episodes that are kind of okay, usually by episode 3, you're into it, right? Because they've hooked you with the mysteries and the intrigue.
Sure.
And all of these open loops that you're kind of navigating through with the characters. So I'm really interested to see by episode 3 if fandom has changed or not. So I know I think they've got 4 episodes out. So I want to pay attention to it. We're going to do 1 episode a week. I'm going to pay attention to my interest and see how that changes.
I think they have 3 episodes out actually right now.
Do they? All right, so let's get through episode 3, find out what happens. All right, so we'll do 1 a week though. I can't rush this. I gotta
no, we got to take time. And trust me, there are a number of people in the fandom that will listen to this and will want to hear thoughts and feedback and kind of what, our opinions and aspects of how the show is progressing.
Yeah.
So we can go week by week and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
You're not going to binge watch film analysis, I don't think. And if you do, then we need to talk. All right. So this episode is brought to you by the Script Summit Screenplay Contest, where you can win $1,000 cash or even get represented by a talent manager, which is outrageous, which is outstanding. We had two writers last year got represented by talent managers. Fantastic. And their work is getting shown to studios and
it's awesome.
And producers. It's pretty awesome. So scriptsummit.com for that. Do you have any final thoughts before I let you go?
No, I'm just I'm really kind of excited to move into episode 2 talking about that. And I'm also very excited that we're actually doing a TV show, which is pretty neat because we've never done a show on the film analysis.
This is
the first one.
This is a special time. Actually,
it is special.
People have been asking us to cover shows.
Yes.
And I've been putting them off. I'm like, no, I can't dedicate. But you know what? We're gonna do it for here. Amazon spent $1 billion. It's the least we can do.
Do that. So Wheel of Time fandom. You guys out there in the Wheel of Time fandom know this. Jeffrey broke his rule just for this show.
I did. I mean, I got a Prime membership. I gotta support my other Jeff Bezos. I mean, he shares the name. How could I not do that? Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share in your social media where you can tag us at The Successful Screenwriter.